Hope everybody's week has been going well. So here's week 10, back with more training, and actually had some technical difficulties on the last day. A few sets didn't get recorded in that good of a quality. I think something happened with the camera. But either way, most of it is there. And as far as things are feeling, starting to hit a bit of a difficulty spike across all three, which is, I know, pretty normal considering I've been adding a little bit of weight every few weeks since, for 10 weeks now. Probably going to do a little mini deload depending on how this next week goes for week 11. But that actually brings me to the point of the thing I wanted to talk about for this week, and that's deloads in general. So for years, the way I programmed was a pretty standard template style block periodization approach where you would have a set amount of weeks, usually 8 weeks for a cycle, and you would start off with lighter weights with higher volume and then slowly transition to heavier weights with lower volume, and then you'd hit a test week on week 8 after a little deload on week 7. And so in the beginning that worked quite a bit and I was progressing in strength, but after a few years of that, you even with switching up variations and stuff like that, you hit this wall of you're just not adapting to it anymore, or it's not sufficient enough stimulus to adapt, or it's just not enough of a change in training stimulus. Your body's used to that normal cycle of 8 weeks. And so I think I talked about it before, but this style of training where there's no real specific deload planned is very refreshing compared to how I normally used to train. And I think that's what's adding a little bit more fuel to the fire. And the weights that I'm lifting in this week, although I say it's a difficulty spike, it's still easier than normal, especially considering that last deadlift that you saw there at 565. I've only ever pulled that like a handful of times, and it's always been at the end of a peaking cycle where I just pulled it here in the middle of a training cycle with no dips in volume. In fact, the volume for all three and the intensity is slowly ramping up, and I'm still able to hit those top singles. So I'm curious to see what it would look like if I were to deload and test, but I do want to continue riding this wave of training stimulus because things are just feeling pretty good. And at the end of the day, I say things are feeling more difficult, but you can't get any stronger only lifting light weights for long periods of time. You're going to have to struggle eventually. Lighter training does have its place, but expecting to get stronger only lifting under like an RPE 6 for weeks on end is like, well, a good comparison would be like eating a single loaf of bread for every meal expecting to get full. It's not realistic. You need to have some more stuff in there. Anyways, that's this week of training, so I'll just let the rest of the video play out. And feel free to follow my business page at encompass.health, or my training page on Instagram at encompass.training, or my podcast, Fostering Wellness Podcast. Anyways, take care, guys.